Hey, what to do, fam? We're going to jump into this video by The Hill. Media ignores war on drugs and border panic. So, basically, I suggest you guys go watch it. We're not going to watch the whole thing here. But Crystal does an amazing job explaining how we kind of got to this situation and how the media is, talking about sensationalizing the border without really talking about, how we got here or any solutions or anything. But yeah, Crystal does a great job kind of extrapolating on the CIA's role and the U.S. imperialism that played in the violence that that struck these countries and prompted these people to move. But Saagar has a different opinion, despite all the evidence that she lays out. So we're gonna jump into this thing.
And Saagar, it's very hard to find anyone who's honest, any honest reporters about immigration, both what's happening now, what the trade-offs are, what the realities are, what the complexities are, and most importantly, and this is the part that they just completely blind spot, how you get to this situation to start with. And that our hands are far from clean in the situation.
The media used these children as pawns from the very beginning. They never actually cared about them. I covered this a lot back in 2018 because right now, not only are they shutting up about what's happening down at the border, but they never really cared. I mean, a lot of these people and children were raped and sexually molested on the journey. Nothing. Whenever it came to reporting on that. And then in terms of the conditions on what's happening on the ground, it's like a complete silence. Like you said, oh, they're coming because you're a nice guy. And I'm glad you did this radar, because the only important thing to ask is, why is this happening? Now, I think this is happening.
Yeah, that's a real important question. Why are these children and parents risking this journey, paying exorbitant money to these cartels and mafia and gang members to risk their lives, to risk their virginity, their innocence, being raped and whatnot? Why are they doing all that just to get to America? Well, let's hear Saagar's explanation. He's got an idea. Let's take that penny from his thought.
Happening. No, look, United Fruit Company, all that, certainly true. That also was like 100 years ago.
And really quick, the United Fruit Company, basically an American corporation that exploited South America since like the early 1800s. So it traded in tropical fruit, primarily bananas, grown in Latin America, plantations sold in the United States and Europe. The company was formed in 1899 from the merger of Minor C. Keats banana trading concerns with Andrew W. Preston's Boston Fruit Company. It flourished in the early and mid 20th century, and it came to control vast territories and transportation networks in Central America, the Caribbean coast of Colombia, and the West Indies. Though it competed with the Standard Fruit Company, later Dole Food Company, for dominance in the international banana trade, it maintained a virtual monopoly in certain regions, some of which came to be called banana republics, such as Costa Rica, Honduras, and Guatemala. And it was 100 years ago, according to Saagar, so we don't have to worry about it. But what's this? United Fruit Company, 1899 to 1970, and what the fuck? Corporate raider Eli M. Black bought 733,000 shares of United Fruit in 1968, becoming the company's largest shareholder. In June 1970, Black merged United Fruit with his own public company, AMK, to create United Brands Company. So really, United Fruit Company, it didn't until 1984. Excuse me, guys. I'm sorry. Oh, what's this? After Black's suicide, I know we're skipping around, but trying to get through this. Cincinnati-based American Financial Group, one of billionaire Carl Lindner Jr.'s companies, bought into United Brands. In August 1984, Lindner took control of the company and renamed it Chiquita Brands International. And I can assure you, Chiquita Brands wasn't 100 years ago. I just had a Chiquita plantain today, and I tell you, it was fucking disgusting. Plantains are disgusting. But yeah, Chiquita. Okay, not 100 years ago, currently running. But let's continue. So they're still being exploited, but whatever. Not to mention, El Salvador, that coup that we did. Gee, that was in that coup was in 1979, and that was definitely backed by the the United States. So we're gonna look at that. The National Conciliation Party, or the PCN, had held a firm grasp on Salvadoran politics since the 1961 Salvadoran Constitutional Assembly election and the 1962 Salvadoran presidential election. Following the dissolution of both the junta of government in 1961 and the civic military directory in 1962, we'll come back to the junta of government. The PCN government, I don't know why they said junta of government, I think they meant the junta government. The PCN government was supported by the United States since its government style, a military dictatorship, was seen as the most effective way of containing communist penetration in Latin America. The Salvadoran National Guard was equipped and trained by the United States and the CIA, both of which directly supported the PCN regime. So, that wasn't 100 years ago. Let me see, 1962. And we'll come back to El Salvador, because I got a feeling we've done shit even more recent than that. And Honduras, yeah, God, yeah, you know, let's not take them too serious on the 100 years thing. Let's not take them too literal on that. You know, let's split in hairs. Let's continue.
So what I would say is the reason that all these people are coming here is because they're really poor. And if you go,
all right, so there we go. The reason these kids are risking getting raped and violated and pretty much thrown into cages and, you know, having to eat fucking rations and shit is because they were poor in their country. So they said, wait a minute, why be poor in my lousy old country where my stupid old family lives and my dumb brother and sister and grandma and grandpa, my abuelitas, they're so lame. Let's go to the United States. We can be poor over there and be thrown into cages and sexually assaulted. That's all it is. It's poverty. It's fucking genius. So let him continue. I'll let him extrapolate on that. I don't have to do it.
and you survey them and you ask them, like, why are you coming here? Economic migration. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't blame them. If I lived in a poor country, I would want to come here too. So the question is...
Okay, whatever. Fair enough. You know, let's say most of them are coming for economic migration. It's still in the countries that the CIA fucked up irresponsibly. Still in countries the United States directly sponsored coups with varying levels of success in. Usually they're pretty successful. You know, if there ever is like a leftist victory, that country just ends up being in perpetual war, like Venezuela and fucking in Syria. So I don't know. Strictly, I find it hard to believe that they're coming here strictly to escape poverty, because poverty is everywhere. Poverty's, sorry, doing this outside, you know, enjoying the nice day, nice sunny weather. So we have to excuse all the vehicular activity. But yeah, man, poverty, get real. I'd have to see these polls. They probably come from these right-wing think tanks. Come on, Saagar.
Is why now? And I think the real answer to that is a change in American policy somewhere around 2014, largely with the institution of DACA. Now, whether you think of DACA or not, doesn't matter, whether it's good policy. What happened is that it sent a magnet for basically children all across Central America who said, if we get there before we're 18 and our parents get there, then they can catch and release. Number one, you can get an economic visa where you can actually still work. 3, you're never actually really going to be deported. And 4, that you can come here and hope on the next amnesty. Now, you can disagree or agree with any of that. I'm just saying I think that's what the pull is.
So that's what he thinks the pull is. He thinks that the whole DACA thing is a magnet for you know, people to come to the United States. And I really don't think they need a magnet when they've got, you know, a fucking bomb blasting and thrusting them towards here. We've got the United States backing whatever side they think should be in charge of whatever foreign country they're trying to take over, right? And usually they're pumping pro-American propaganda or pro-capitalist propaganda, whatever, in whatever side they're exploiting. So yeah, when the countries do, eventually explode from gang violence or terrorism, whatever, terrorism in the Middle East, gang violence in South America, they come to America because they think, hey, my government let me down. Maybe the Americans were right. Maybe the Americans were right. Maybe I do have to go to their capitalist country in order to make a living. So do you realize how sick and insane and perverse that is? That we arm like militias and like gangs and terrorists in these foreign countries, and we pump them full of like, whatever they need to hear in order to make trouble for their leaders. Anybody who's not totally playing ball with the United States. And Venezuela will be Evo Morales. Is that might be Bolivia? I'm not sure. Anyway, we arm these fucking people to make the countries unlivable because they're bursting at the seams with gangs and terrorists and militias and quote unquote rebels. And the people go, oh, okay, well, shit. The rebels say, maybe America ain't so bad to live in. Since our government sucks, we'll go there. And of course, we can't understate the influence that America just has all over the world. So yeah, it's attractive, it's appealing. But that coupled with, America actively funding bad faith actors and murderous elements in your country, it's not surprising, they come here.
And that's why nobody wants to solve this crisis. Republicans had a chance in 2018. They had unified government, and they wouldn't pass anything. Nothing. You know why? I think people secretly love having this. I think the Democrats love it too. And I think it's disgraceful because it's terrible for many of the people who are coming here.
Yeah, I think there's something to that. Because honestly, it's cheap labor, and the government can tax the hell out of them. And less and less young people today are willing to do those jobs. So yeah, there's probably a good chunk of the government that does want this border crisis to happen. Maybe not exactly like this, but they don't mind people coming in and flooding the job market. Some people in the government. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
Low-wage workers. It's terrible, in my opinion, for many American citizens, and it's lawless, and people are being subjected to criminal treatment all across the border. The only question is, what do you do? I think you need to reform the U.S. asylum law, which makes it so that, and look, yes, all these countries are very violent, but the truth is, the murder rate has actually gone down in the last several years.
Yeah, no shit, man. The murder rate everywhere should be going down as humanity evolves and becomes enlightened. We shouldn't be killing each other how we were in the past. But as Crystal is going to explain, these countries are still some of the most violent in the world. So they're still winning the violent war. Why is that? But whatever.
So yeah, they can claim they're fleeing domestic violence, and I definitely sympathize, but by the standard of letting in anybody who comes from a violent country, that's like 1.3 billion people.
So here's the thing, you and I definitely disagree on.
Yeah, I'm not in for just letting anybody fleeing a violent country, even though we should be helping everyone who's innocent or whatever. But the thing is, we're directly responsible for most of the countries, the state that they're in. I mean, I can't put it any more clear. You know, we're directly responsible for El Salvador. We're directly responsible for Guatemala. We're directly responsible for Honduras. You know, let's look at the Salvadorian Civil War, dude. We already kind of went over the coup d'etat that brought the junta government to power in El Salvador. But pressure from the oligarchy soon dissolved the junta because of its inability to control the army and its repression of the people fighting for unionization rights. Unionization. It's funny. Agrarian reform, better wages, accessible health care, and freedom of expression. In the meantime, the guerrilla movement was spreading to all sectors of Salvadoran society. Middle and high school students were organized in MERS, Movimiento Estudiantil Revolucionario de Secundaria, revolutionary movement of secondary students. College students were involved with AGUS, Asociación de Estudiantes Universitarios Salvadoreños, Association of Salvadoran College Students and Workers were organized in BPR, Bloque Popular Revolucionario, Popular Revolutionary Bloc. In October 1980, several other major guerrilla groups from the Salvadoran left had formed the Farabundo Multinational Libertarian Front, or FMLN. A lot of acronyms, good lord. By the end of the 1970s, government contracted death squads were killing about 10 people each day. Meanwhile, the FMLN had 8,000 active guerrillas and hundreds of thousands of part-time militia supporters and sympathizers. The U.S. supported and financed the creation of the second junta to change the political environment and stop the spread of the leftist insurrections. That part's important. Okay? The U.S. supported and financed the creation of the second junta. The first one was bad enough, but the oligarchy dissolved it because it wasn't working. Everyone hated it, and it was ruining the country. So, the United States tried again, and they financed the creation of a second junta. So saith Wikipedia. I know our favorite source of information, but honestly, it's all I got right now. Don't hate me. So Napoleon Duarte was recalled from his exile in Venezuela to head this new junta. However, a revolution was already underway, and his new role as head of the junta was seen by the general population as opportunistic. He was unable to influence the outcome of the insurrection. Oscar Romero, the Roman Catholic Archbishop of San Salvador, denounced injustices and massacres committed against civilians by government forces. He was considered the voice of the voiceless, but he was assassinated by a death squad while saying mass on 24th March 1980. So, I mean, there you go, dude. More chaos and more murder. Some consider this to be the beginning of the full Salvadoran Civil War, which lasted from 1980 to 1992, so not 100 years ago. An unknown number of people disappeared during the conflict, and the UN reports that more than 75,000 were killed. The Salvadoran army, the U.S.-trained Atl Battalion was responsible for the El Mazote massacre, where more than 800 civilians were murdered, over half of them children, the El Calabozo massacre, and the murder of UCA scholars. So lots of massacres, lots of horrendous murders. I mean, even if Saagar was right, which he isn't, and this shit was like 100 years ago. It takes time for the country to heal from shit like that. Our country still has scars from the Civil War. I know it sounds really pathetic and leftist of me to say, and I'm not even talking about the black community. I'm talking about the hick-ass white community in the South, still stuck in the fucking 1950s, That's a result of the Civil War. Civil War caused. I mean, the Civil War was great for fleeing slaves and shit. I'm just saying it's a result of just that hatred and baggage and that culture that sparked the Civil War. And yeah, the Civil War itself, man. The South, they took all that, the murders and massacres and all that shit very personally. And they cradled and fostered that hatred, and they passed it down through generations. You can see it today. They taught their kids that slavery was a choice, and that the slaves had fun and had great Medicare and great food and shit, dude. But all that bullshit. So, I don't want to sound like coddling or anything, but I mean, we're gonna find as the video goes on that a lot of these massacres and tragedies and traumas, they weren't that long ago to begin with. But even if they were, like, people need nations, they need time to heal. And not only that, dude, the U.S., they're actively trying to destroy anything socialist, anything leftist all over the world. That's a fact. It's all here, dude. It's all over Wikipedia. The CIA snitching on themselves because they can't even hide the horrible things they did. And here's Jose Napoleon Duarte, another stooge of America, sent down to basically just terrorize these colonies and territories that America totally neglects, or if they do pay attention to them, it's in a negative way. This Salvadoran politician served as president of El Salvador from June 1st, 1984 to June 1st, 1989. He was mayor of San Salvador before running as president in 1972. He lost, but the election is widely viewed as fraudulent. Following a counter coup in 1979, Duarte led the subsequent civil military junta from 1980 to 1982. He was then elected president in 1984, defeating RENA party leader Roberto de Abueson. Supported by the Reagan administration and the Central Intelligence Agency, his time in office occurred during the worst years of the Salvadoran Civil War, which saw numerous abuses and massacres of the civilian population by the Salvadoran security forces and the death squads linked to them. So I'm sure those death squads, they didn't traumatize the people or, leave it, have any negative impacts. They should just get over it and, be prosperous democracies like America.
So they're coming for a simple reason. Their countries are screwed up. And a large part of the reason that they're screwed up is because of us. But these are countries that are close to us. And by the way, yes, violence has decreased. These are still some of the most violent countries in the entire world with the highest murder rates. And the reason they have that is because our dumbass war on drugs and the prohibition policy that creates lawlessness, creates corruption, creates this massive black market, fuels the violence, and makes it so that there is, so a combination of our trade policies, our CIA interventions and coups in these countries with the black market of the drug market, and then you throw on top of that the coronavirus crisis. You ask why now? That's the biggest reason why right now people are coming. But I also just fundamentally disagree with this idea that, look, I think we have an obligation to take care of our own people first. I do believe that, and I also do believe that we should know who is coming into our country, and I don't think you should just have totally open borders. I think we need to know who's coming in all of this. But this is this whole scarcity mentality that, we don't have enough room, we don't have resources, we don't have enough space, and it pits working class people against each other, and I just think it's fundamentally bullshit. So even this idea, yes, there is an acute...
Yeah, so there's Crystal putting it very eloquently and succinctly in ways that I wish I could. But that's why her channel is a lot bigger than mine. But I try. But I just want to stop and say I appreciated her take on that.
crisis on the border right now of just the number of people coming and being able to deal with that in a way that keeps our people safe, protects the people also who are coming here, but no one wants to deal with the bigger issues of why these countries are so screwed up in the first place and how we have such complicity in ultimately doing that.
Yeah, and real quick, before the video ends, I did want to bring up the Honduran government before we wrap this up, because in 2007, I know it was like 100 years ago, but in 2007, President of Honduras, Manuel Zelaya, and President of the United States, George W. Bush, began talks on U.S. assistance to Honduras to tackle the latter's growing drug cartels in Mosquito, eastern Honduras, using U.S. Special Forces. This marked the beginning of a new foothold for the U.S. military's continued presence in Central America. So that I'm just going to chalk that up to Manuel Zelaya's naivete. You know, I'm sure the United States, it was like a wet dream for them. Oh, you want us to send military forces in and take care of your gangs? Oh, the gangs we created through freaking decades of instability. Hot dog, can't wait. Oh god. So under Zelaya, Honduras joined ALBA in 2008. I was gonna say ALBA, but withdrew in 2010 after the 2009 Honduran coup d'etat. In 2009, a constitutional crisis resulted when power was transferred in a coup from the president to the head of Congress. The OAS suspended Honduras because it did not regard its government as legitimate. Countries around the world, the OAS and United Nations, formally and unanimously condemned the action as a coup d'etat, refusing to recognize the de facto government, even though the lawyers consulted by the Library of Congress submitted to the United States Congress an opinion that declared the coup legal. The Honduran Supreme Court also ruled that the proceedings had been legal. The government that followed the de facto government established a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Commission de la Verdad y Reconciliación, which after more than a year of research and debate concluded that the ousting had been a coup d'etat and illegal in the commission's opinion. So, Zelaya is working or trying to work with the United States to, get the drug cartels out, but didn't work out so great. His Congress basically tried to take power from him, and he was ousted. But yep. Let me go back to the video.
Biden wants to tout his Northern Triangle policy during the Obama administration. And all the neoliberals, even people like Julian Castro, have jumped on board with this, like this was some amazing thing, oh, this is providing an aid, et cetera, et cetera. It mostly just funded a massive security crackdown. That's what it really was. It was like, let's amp up your police state. That's what the money really went to. And look, there may be a role for some increased security in these states. I'm not saying that that's not reasonable, but that just the crackdown in the police state is never, ever going to solve your problem. And you see that with the track record over decades, starting in Colombia and then what was exported to these other countries. The real thing that the U.S. government has only cared about in these countries ever is protecting the American financial business interests. That has always been the common theme. That has always been what they come back to. And I think you're 100% right. Republicans, they are so excited this is happening right now. Fox News is delighted that they could run to the border and put these pictures on TV. They don't give a shit about these people. And you're right. Democrats, same thing. They love to use this issue for their own political gain, and they don't do anything to really change or solve the problem either. And it becomes this disgusting morass where absolutely no one is honest about it.
Well, the conversation we're having right now, you're just never going to see anywhere else. And that's what really bothers me about it, which is, look, I actually disagree whenever it comes to what the problems in these countries are. And same on the standard. I mean, by the standard, like, everybody in Iraq has a better right to come to the United States than people in Guatemala.
So sure, if people in Iraq wanted to come to the United States, I'd be all for that too. Yeah, 'cause we fucked their country up. Maybe the people in Iraq are just, more educated about the geopolitical situation and realized, hey, the United States, they're actually the problem. You know, maybe they don't want to run to the country that's bombing them. You know, maybe the people in South America have a different view of America. Maybe they have a more amicable view of America than the people in Iraq. That's irrelevant. The problem is we're fucking up these countries for no reason, for resources, for oil and shit, petty things that we should have diplomatic relations with these countries, obviously, but we just blow them up, or we finance their rebels or their terrorists. And I'm getting sick of just saying like the same shit over and over again. It's just like people like Saagar and these right wingers. I don't know. They just don't get it, or they don't want to believe it, that these things are directly related and correlating. And yeah, the United States is still pulling the same shit to this day. Look at Venezuela. Look at Juan Guaido, the fake leader they tried to put in. This shit isn't 30 years ago, bro. This shit's not over. We haven't learned our lesson. This isn't history. We're not done, bro. What the fuck, Saagar? Shit.
And so the question is, it's like, there's 1 billion people who live in screwed up countries. It's just simply like, it's not a tenable situation to say we all qualify for asylum just because some people can walk here and some people live 10,000 miles away. But again, this is a reasonable conversation. You can say, what had happened in these Northern Triangle countries? Is it all U.S. policy? I think people conveniently ignore that Panama and Costa Rica, which are both right next to those countries, are thriving democracies with a decent amount of security and lack of drug trade. There is an onus, whenever it comes to this, upon the people themselves, whenever they live down there. It's not just all the United States. I think that's a very Howard Zinn way of looking at the world.
Yeah, I mean, the onus on the people, like, what the fuck are you talking about? These are just like political situations, dude. It's almost like the weather. That's like saying, oh shit, well, there's an onus on the Floridians to get out of Florida if there's, oh no, there's an onus on the Floridians to control the hurricane in Florida. You know, that's their state, they live there. Well, how come they can't just get a handle on that hurricane? Dude, you think the people have any fucking control over their government? Do you think we have any control over our government? What planet do you live on? The United States, this imperialistic, megalomaniacal fucking super villain army of like stormtroopers, we fucking stripped democracy from every country that we could at every turn. And that might be a little hyperbolic, but it's not that hyperbolic. It's basically true. Unfortunately, just look at the receipts here. I got the receipts, and I didn't even type in like CIA when I like looked up these countries. You type in the countries and just CIA and United States shit just automatically comes up. Because we're that fucking nosy and that involved in all these countries. It's ridiculous. And now just act like, well, those countries are those countries. This is America. Fuck. It's Earth, idiot. This is why we're never gonna get anywhere, dude. People still believe in these abstract fucking ideas. Like, ooh, the Constitution, this is my rights. I'm a guaranteed right. You don't have any fucking rights. Those are just ideas. Oh shit, man, like. And this idiot, oh, look at the fucking border. Yeah, that's Guatemala, this is America, we're different. No, it's all Earth. The tectonic plates are the only things that divided the continents. It's all just arbitrary bullshit. Okay. we're all going to have to deal with each other. That's what this border crisis is. It's everybody having to deal with each other. So maybe it behooves us to make sure that, their countries are taken care of. I know you don't think it's our responsibility, but maybe that's the problem. Because the second that you did, holy shit, you see how quick the problem would go away.
Are we complicit in a lot of bad activity in South America? 100%. We have literally started wars in order to create Panama, all of that, etc. No apologism for U.S. imperialism in the 1890s.
Yeah, but that was like a billion gajillion years ago. In South America, they've already gotten over it. Okay? It's like, it's so last year. OMG.
We live in 2021. So what do you do?
This is not those 1990s. This is also through the Reagan administration, continuing through the 90s.
But Nicaraguans are coming. It's not like Sandinistas are coming.
Sure, but listen, I think that piece of this is always ignored when we're talking about why those countries are as screwed up as they ultimately are. And I would also say, and this isn't this is another piece of this conversation, but you know, when it's Cubans who are coming here, there isn't this, oh my God, Cubans are here. There's no panic about that whatsoever. Because they are asylum seekers who are politically convenient for regimes in power here, mostly, you know, Republicans, but also Democrats too. It's viewed completely differently because they are a politically convenient group of asylum seekers.
I 100% agree. It drives me crazy whenever I see, you know, it's like, and now that many people in the Miami community have been talking about, like, no, we can't have these Northern Triangle people come here.
Right.
Which always just exposes, like, the pure, like, if you really want to reduce everything to identitarianism, it becomes ridiculous. That's the worst part. Everybody uses these people as pawns. Everyone. Nobody actually wants to make their lives better or anything like that. And the real question is how do we make it work for all of us? And I just don't think anybody's really interested in that conversation, which is what screws a lot of people over.